Hello, everyone. Uh, our course is called Ethics and Social Responsibility, and it's a core course, which is worth 3 credits. We will be meeting twice a week for this course. Basically, this course is an ethical framework that suggests an entity, whether it's an organization or an individual, has the obligation to act for the benefit of the society at a large scale. And social responsibility is a duty that every individual has to perform in order to maintain a balance between the economy and the ecosystem. The course learning outcomes for this class is as follows. It has 4 course learning outcomes. Discuss the role of HRD in ethics and social responsibility. Relate ethics and social responsibility in the workplace. Demonstrate the role in ethics and social responsibility initiatives. Demonstrate ethical behavior and professionalism in responding to social responsibility issues. For this course, we will be mainly using teaching and learning practices such as conducting in-class activities, case studies, presentations, problem-based scenario, and you will be doing a service learning project. These are the topics for the weeks. For today, we will be talking about the introduction to ethics and social responsibility, the definition and its concepts. And for the rest of the weeks, these are the topics that we will be covering. And the last 3 weeks of our semester, we will be working on the service learning project. The type of the assignments that you will be doing in this course will be a test, which is your midterm. It's worth 20 marks. And please remember that this course has no final exam. We only have one midterm exam, which is worth 20 marks. The rest of the marks, which is 80 marks, will be on your service learning project. It is divided on 3 parts: the project report, which is 20 marks, the project itself, which is 50 marks, and the project presentation, that will be 10 marks. The readings for this class are going to be these 2 books, Cohen and Hatcher. I do not have the PDF version yet, but once I have them, I will upload it on the Moodle. I have already uploaded this CI and the first week teaching material on the Moodle. You can access them from there. So now we will start with a basic introduction to ethics and social responsibility. The concepts and the definitions. This is the contents of today's class: definition of ethics and business ethics, current business ethics topics, and what is social ethics, language policy, importance of social ethics, and examples of social ethics in different companies, definition of manager, different types of manager, and the role of the manager in maintaining an ethical work environment. So first of all, what is ethics and business ethics? Okay, so basically ethics, if we define it in a very simple way, it's moral principles that govern one person's behavior or the conducting of an activity. So it's basically principles telling you what is right and what is wrong, or how to behave in a good or in a bad way. When it comes to business ethics, it involves more applying general ethical principles and standards into business activities, your behavior, and your decision making while doing business. So ethics in general is a guideline for your behavior, for your communication, and how you act in general. But when it comes to business ethics, it's how you use these principles that you have as a person while conducting your business, while communicating with clients, while communicating with suppliers, or how do you deal with activities related to your business in terms of the community, in terms of the environment, the society, etc. Social ethics, on the other hand, is not basically supposed to be a detailed list of rules to be applied in any given situation. Rather, it's more complex. There's no one direct or, let's say, simple line that differentiates between what to do and not what to do. It's more complex. There's a lot of gray area when it comes to this. And these rules are meant to act as a guide by setting the ground rules for what society seems acceptable. And these could change from one society to another based on the culture, based on the language, based on the, let's say, the rules and regulations, not only in societies, but also on a smaller scale, let's say, on different levels. For example, on the organizational level, from one organization to another, these rules and regulations can be different, not only from organizations but also from sector to sector. For example, in the education sector, the rules and regulations are different than if you go to, let's say, real estate sector. Okay, so you have to be very careful when it comes to the social ethics. The welfare of society is put ahead of the interest of any individual. This is the first rule, and this helps to ensure that everyone is kept accountable by each other. So when you put society first before you do not consider your individualistic interests above the society, and so does everyone else. That's why everyone is accountable and looked up onto by each other, and then at the same time monitored and controlled by each other. So my question to you is, what are the importance of having ethics in workplace? Why do you think it is important to have ethics or rules and regulations that dictate your behavior on what is right and what is wrong in your workplace? Okay, when we have our online discussion, I would like you to prepare an answer for this question. So I will give you some of my answers of why social ethics are important, but you have to prepare your answers for why ethics is important in your workplace. Okay, let's not mix these two. Why is it important, or let's say to have social ethics, is that every community, there are certain prevailing social ethics. So every person who lives in that society with members must be willing to obey these rules and regulations. The goal of these is to establish a harmonious, especially with other community members, in order to keep peace, to stay away from chaos, conflict, and let's say arguments, etc. You have to follow these type of rules and regulations, and every action we take must be in accordance with these social ethics in the area. But as we mentioned earlier, these let's say social ethics can change from one area to another. That's why you have to be very careful about how to follow and how to apply them globally. However, on the global scale, there are some rules, or let's say there are some social ethics that are followed by everyone everywhere, regardless of your culture, regardless of your ethnicity, of your language, or whatever level that you can think of. Okay, so and this applies globally wherever we live, whether it's in the Western, whether it's in the East, whether it's in the Middle East, as it is. And we have to follow the rule to maintain the good life in the community that we belong to. Why should a business organization have social ethics, in your opinion? Before I explain it to you, I want you to consider this question. Why should a business, or let's say any organization, have social ethics? Okay, I want you to think about this and answer my question when you come to the online class. Ethics concern an individual or moral judgment about the right or wrong. Okay, so as we mentioned, ethics is about your judgment on what is right and what's wrong, how you behave in the right way, how you behave in a wrong way. How do you make a decision within an organization, and how you evaluate whether this decision is wrong or right, whether this decision is beneficiary to the society, to the individuals, to your customers, to your suppliers, to your stakeholders in general, or whether it's not in the benefit of them. Okay, but whoever makes these, let's say, decisions is influenced by the culture of the company or the organization that we belong to. As I mentioned earlier, each organization has its own culture, and based on that culture, they will have different social ethics. Okay, the decision to behave ethically is a moral one. Basically, employees must decide what they think is the right course of action, or whether it's the wrong course of action, and how to behave in accordance to the corporate and the social responsibility is going to bring significant benefits to a business. We have a few examples of companies which has high ethical values in their organization. These are a few global examples. When we are going to have our discussion, I will ask you for some local examples from you based on your understanding. Okay, so first of all, we have the Microsoft I think you all know what the Microsoft is, and basically it was started by Bill Gates, which is one of America's most generous philanthropists. It follows that the Microsoft would do well in following the examples of its founder. The tech company actually and its employees donate over 1 billion US dollar yearly to charities, non-profit organizations, and at the same time, their employees actually volunteer to teach, let's say, schools within the urban and the rural areas where they have issues with providing teachers to teach technology or IT, and they are trying to fulfill this shortage within America's IT professionals to teach students about the technology industry for free. They do it for charity. We have Google. I think we are using it daily, so you do know what Google is. Basically, although some may criticize the company regularly, they make good on its motto, don't be evil. Google has a green program. The company donates over $1 billion to renewable energy projects and has decreased its own footprint. When we say footprint, it's carbon footprint by using energy efficient buildings and public transportations at the same time. So they are trying to give back to the community and at the same time to be more aware and to help more when it comes to green management, which is a concept that we will have in detail in the coming weeks. The company is also a staunch advocate for free speech, which can be observed from its frequent conflicts with the Chinese government. Google is also an open support of LGBT rights, etc. And Google employees have access to free healthcare and treatment from on-site doctors, free legal advice, and discounts on legal advice, fully stocked snack pantries, etc. This is basically how Google treats its employees at the same time and how they are ethical and how they provide an organizational culture that would, let's say, maximize the productivity, the efficiency, and the effectiveness of their employees at the same time by providing these sort of services, like, for example, free nursery, on-site doctors, legal advice, cafeteria, etc. With such stellar record of social awareness and positive employee relations, Google is easily the best example of ethics when it comes to corporate wealth today, because it's not only how they pay back to the community, but also how they are treating their own employees at the same time. Okay, so now let's talk about managers. Who is a manager? We all hear this word daily. We all know a lot of managers in our daily lives, but what is the definition of a manager? It is basically a person responsible for organizing, controlling, and administration an organization or a group of staff. Since business requires the support of society to run itself smoothly, similarly, it is the responsibility of the business to take some responsibility for the society. So why do we mention this? Because managers are the ones organizing and controlling the organization. They are also responsible on, let's say, paying back to the society. And social responsibility and business ethics are often considered as the same concept, and managers are responsible for running and controlling the organization in a way that will be aware and put into consideration of the social ethics of a business. We have different types of manager: moral, immoral, and amoral. A moral manager is a person who is dedicated to high standards of ethical behavior. So these type of managers are following, let's say, the ethical standards of the community, organization, and on the individual level also, on a personal action, and also when it comes to decision making as a manager in an organization. They consider themselves more as a steward rather than the overseer of the business. They feel like they are part of it. They are not just controlling and decision making, rather they are part of it, and they know that what they do actually affects society and the community and the organization itself. We have immoral manager, which is basically the opposite of the moral manager. They have no regard to ethical standards in the business. They do not care about it, okay? And this type does not pay any attention to ethical principles in making business decisions, and they often also on their own personal conduct. So they do not care about the social ethics, they do not care about the social responsibility of the company, of themselves, or their employees, and they have no obligation towards the community at the same time. The last type is a moral manager, which is basically believes that it's not necessary to consider ethical principles. They know they exist, they know what they are, they know the ethical principles, but they think it's not necessary to do it while doing business decisions, because for them it is supposed to be perfectly legitimate for business to do anything they wish to as long as they are making profit. Okay, and our managers are either intentionally or intentionally immoral. For they think that business is profit, not for considering ethical standards or social ethics of the community and the society. So, what is the manager, or what is the role of a manager in social ethics? We have different roles, and each one is fulfilling or performing different tasks and duties. We have the type that is called figurehead. This type of manager performs ceremonial and symbolic duties as a head of the organization. They are not actually running the operation or controlling the employees, etc. They are not huge decision makers. They do not have a lot of effect on the decisions. They just do ceremonial and symbolic duties. If I give you an example that's related more into politics, let's say the president of the Iraq Republic is a symbolic type, is a figurehead. They are attending ceremonies, they are doing symbolic duties, but they do not hold position and authority and power. The power and authority is within the hands of the prime minister. So this type of figurehead is an example for. We have a leader type, which is fosters the proper work atmosphere and motivates and develops subordinates, which is basically encouraging and inspiring their followers to do the work in the best way possible. We have a liaison type, which develops and maintains a network of external contacts to gather information. These type of managers are dealing mostly with outsiders of the company. They are to, let's say, keep the relationship with the external parts. We have monitor, which basically gathers internal and external information relevant to the organization. They are more about, let's say, gathering information, for example, on the organization itself and, let's say, the competitors at the same time. Disseminator is a transmits factual and value-based information to subordinates. These type of managers are usually, let's say, taking information from upper management and giving it to the followers in the organization, to the low-level employees. We have a spokesperson, which basically communicates to the outside world on performance and policies. These type of managers usually hold the positions of, let's say, public relations or media and communication, public relation officers, spokesperson of an organization. These are the type of positions that they held. They basically educate the world on the organization. We have an entrepreneur type of a manager, which designs and initiates change in the organization. The organization is already doing business. These type of managers come to bring new ideas, innovative and innovation into the organization. We have a disturbance handle, which basically deals with unexpected events and operational recourses. We can call them risk management divisions, risk managers, etc. And we have the last type, which is the negotiator. It participates in negotiation activities with other organizations and individuals. These type of managers usually take into consideration the advantages, the benefits of the organization itself and the other party at the same time to get the best outcome, a win-win situation for both sides. if you do not have any questions that you would like, if you have any questions, please ask me on the online session that we will conduct. And I would like you to give a reflection on this topic. What do you think of ethics? What do you think of social ethics? And if you have any reflections on the type of the managers that you have faced within your daily life, etc., we would like to discuss it during the online session today. As for this introduction week, thank you so much. This is the end of the class.